Great. So Steve is going to pin my screen now, as well as my kitchen screen. Okay. Let's just see over here.
Yeah, and for the record, Bina, I'm just gonna say that this program is being recorded and is brought to you by the ACL Virtual Smart Living Grant in partnership with the New York City Department of the Aging.
Okay, great, thank you. So what we're gonna start off first with is boiling the quinoa. So over here, can everyone see my pot?
What is the name of the recipe?
This is the quinoa black bean salad.
Oh, yum.
Yeah. So over here is I have a pot with boiling hot water in there. And I measured out 1.5 cups of water. So I'm actually gonna wait for it to start bubbling again. But in the meantime, we're gonna start measuring out the quinoa. So this is the type of quinoa that I bought from the grocery store. This is white quinoa. There are different types of quinoa that come in different colors. You can get the red quinoa. The reason why I chose the white one is because it has a more mild taste. So if you haven't had quinoa before, this is great to start off with to develop a taste for quinoa. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna measure out 1/2 cup of quinoa. So I have a measuring cup here, and I'm gonna pour in 1/2 cup. And the thing that's really cool about this is that, as you're gonna see, just 1/2 cup of this is gonna grow so much in size once it's cooked. Okay, so
it's going to expand, right?
Right, it's gonna really expand and grow in size. Okay. And what we're gonna do is we're going to wait until this water is really boiling and bubbling. So it was before, but I'm gonna put it on right now, and we're gonna give it a few more moments. And then in the meantime, we're going to start preparing the next ingredients of this recipe. So just as a reminder, before starting to cook, it's always a good idea to wash our hands, and my hands have been washed right before we started. So while we're waiting for this to boil, we're going to start preparing some of the other ingredients. Over here, I have 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil. Okay, so this is what I used. And we are going to add in 1/4 teaspoon of cumin. So over here, I have measured out 1/4 teaspoon. We're gonna add this into here. Okay. And then the next thing that we're going to do is I have 1/2 lime here, and we're going to get the juice out of it. So I see that the quinoa just started to bubble. So at this point, I'm going to pour this in here. Okay. And I have a wooden spoon here that we could use to stir around a little bit. Okay. So this is
for how long are you gonna cook it?
Yeah, so this is gonna take about 15 minutes. We're gonna wait for it to come to a boil. And then afterwards, we're gonna allow it to simmer. Okay. So right now it's on high, and I'm gonna wait until it boils before I lower the heat. So right, we're gonna get back to squeezing the slime now to get the juice out of it. And as you may already know, citrus fruits are a great source of vitamin C. So not just as this doesn't only add so much flavor to this recipe, but it's a great way to boost the vitamin C content. And vitamin C is known to be really good for immunity, something that is important to all of us at this time. So you could also use a lemon if you like. I like to get the pulp out of it as well, just because I feel like it adds more flavor. And going back to the quinoa here, as you can see, it's bubbling now. So I'm going to reduce it to a simmer. Okay. And you know, when it simmers, it's not really, the bubbles are going to be a lot smaller, and it's more of like a low and slow way of allowing it to cook. So I just lowered the flame on that. Okay. And once we have the juice out of about half a lime, we're going to add this into this mixture over here. Okay.
And once again, what was in the mixture there in the cup? The
Yeah, so
cumin?
in here we have a tablespoon and a half of olive oil. We have a quarter of a teaspoon of cumin, and we have half of this lime. And I'm going to mix that around a little bit. Okay, and I see that the quinoa is still bubbling, so I'm gonna reduce the flame even a little bit more so that it's, we want the bubbles to be smaller than that. Okay. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to be adding in 1 shallot over here. If you don't have this, you could use also like half of an onion. Red onions would also work really well in this recipe. So
Can you
over
show
here-
us a little bit more of that on the camera, Bina?
Oh, sure.
See the shallots? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a regular onion, right? But they're like,
Yeah, it's much smaller.
and
So
what's the difference in flavor, you think?
honestly, it tastes pretty similar. But it might have like a little bit more of like a mild taste than having a regular onion.
Right, yeah. And they're really like when you want to fix like my experience has been that you want to fix something like with a sauce in a nice dish, you want to use shallots as opposed to onions, which may have that stronger flavor, right?
Right, exactly. And I like to use these because I don't like to overpower the flavor. Like onion has a very strong flavor. So if I use a whole thing in a recipe, it's going to be too much. So this is a great way to have like a small amount of it to give it the flavor it needs without it being too strong.
Right.
So over here, we have 1 shallot already diced. And as you can see, dicing is just making it into like these small uniform size pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this into the mixture.
Mm.
Okay. And we're going to mix this around a little bit and then just allow this to sit. Okay.
It's almost like a dressing, right?
Right, exactly. But the onions will definitely pick up a lot of the flavor of, you know, the dressing.
And I like the fact that you're making it separate right now while the quinoa is cooking, because it's sort of like a marinating in there, right?
Exactly. That's right. So let's just check on our quinoa. Okay, so I'm gonna just mix it around a little bit. And we're gonna keep an eye out on this.
When do we know quinoa is cooked?
So you're gonna wait for the quinoa to really absorb the water. As you can see right now, there's still a lot of water in the pot. But once it absorbs it and it looks nice and fluffy, then you'll see that it's finished cooking.
Right. Okay, good.
So the next thing that we're going to do is start preparing the vegetables for the salad. Okay, so one of the things that the recipe calls for is 2 cups of tomatoes. I just bought 1 package of sweet grape tomatoes, and this comes out to about 2 cups. So we're going to just cut these tomatoes into, you can just cut them in half. These work well like this. So these tomatoes have already been washed and dried, and very simple. You can just cut it nice and in half. And so we already have the rest of the package cut in half. So we're gonna take these and then add them in and then set these aside, and then we're gonna combine it with the other vegetables. So what you're going to use is 1 whole pepper, a green one, and also a whole red. So over here, I've opened it up. I removed the seeds and I washed the outside of it. And we're going to also basically just dice this as well.
So there was some noise in the background. So how many, so 2 different type of peppers, Bina?
Right, 1 green pepper and 1 red pepper. You can definitely feel free to use other colored peppers if you like those, the taste of those better. Peppers in general are also a really rich source of vitamin C. So this salad is going to be really colorful, flavorful, and nutritious as well.
Yum, yum. I wonder if I can I use other type of tomatoes if I don't have those little tomatoes?
Oh, definitely. You could use plum tomatoes or really any type that you like. The recipe just calls for using about 2 cups of tomatoes. And as you're going to see, this recipe yields 6 servings. So it's a nice large amount and you can keep it in your fridge and have definitely, you can use it for a lot of meals, which is a great way to save time if you have a busy schedule or if you don't like to cook, then you cook once and then you end up having, you can get a lot of meals out of it. Okay, so we have, this is over here, we have, this is all 1 green pepper. And we also have the red pepper, which has already been diced up for us, which we're going to add in, and we're going to combine all of these into the big salad bowl. So over here, I'm going to pour these ingredients in. So we have the tomatoes that I'm putting in, okay, and as well as the green peppers.
Very colorful.
Yeah, nice and colorful. And we also have the red peppers here. Okay.
Nice.
And we're going to take a look at the quinoa here. So as you can see, it's still cooking. We're just going to give it some more time.
Maybe a little more heat.
Yeah, we'll also increase the heat.
Well, I'm not there, so I cannot see.
Yeah. Okay. And then the next thing is we have the some black beans here, which we're going to be using for this recipe. So black beans, or really any bean in general, these are a great source of protein and soluble fiber. Soluble fiber is great for improving cholesterol level, for helping with controlling blood sugar. So this is a great thing to add to our meals. And also, it's also friendly budget-wise. You know, this can, it costed about $1.49. If it's on sale, you can get it for 89 cents. So if you're on a budget and you want to eat nutritious, you can, adding in more beans could be a great way to get more plant protein at an affordable price. Okay, so sometimes people are concerned that, you know, canned products could be high in sodium. And one great way to reduce the amount of sodium in there is by rinsing them, which is what we're going to do together now. Okay. So it basically looks like the quinoa is just about ready. So I'm going to move this over to the other side. And as you can see over here, this is what the quinoa looks like. It's nice and fluffy. And as you can see, it really expanded in size. So that was just a half a cup that we used.
Wow.
And over here, you can see how much it grew. So we're going to add this in afterwards, but now we're going to move on to the rinsing the beans.
So Bina, since you talked about cost, so how much was a box of quinoa?
So
curious.
this package of quinoa was $4.99. The other ones were more expensive, but this came with a lot of quinoa inside, and I've already been able to make a few batches of quinoa with it. So
So you get a lot of mileage for.
yeah, exactly. Right. Okay. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to just move this stovetop out of the way so that I can show you how do we rinse off the beans from my kitchen sink. Okay.
Don't burn yourself.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna move this out of the way here. Okay. So what you're going to need is a colander. And you can put that into your sink. And we're gonna just start off by, this is easy because this doesn't even require a can opener. So I rinsed off the top of this and we're gonna just open this. Okay. And you can also purchase beans that are already low sodium if sodium is a concern for you. Okay, so now I'm gonna move this over my camera. Okay, so now you should be able to see my kitchen sink.
Yes.
And I'm going to pour the beans into here. And we're gonna give it a really good rinse. Okay. And a lot of the beans are still in this can, so I'm gonna pour some water in here to get all the beans out. Okay. So now that we gave it a good rinse, that should have reduced the sodium, and it could reduce it to by about like 40% when you wash the beans. All right, so now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna move the screen back so you could see my counter again. Okay. And we're gonna add these beans into the salad bowl. Okay. Okay. And we are also going to be adding in the quinoa now. So over here, again, we have the tomatoes, the 1 red pepper, 1 green pepper, 1 can of black beans, and a ½ cup of dry quinoa, which is now expanded in size. Okay. Okay, and we're also going to add the onion mixture with the olive oil, the cumin, and the lime.
For those who came in like in a minute ago, the quinoa is cooked.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, that looks delicious. So colorful.
Yeah, and also so filling. The quinoa is a whole grain, so it's a great source of fiber, and it's also a great source of protein. Quinoa is actually one of those plant proteins that are complete protein, which means that it gives your body all of the essential amino acids. So basically, amino acids are like the smallest unit of a protein, and certain amino acids are essential, which means that your body can't make them. So let's say if somebody's vegan and they don't eat any animal products, it's very important that they eat complete proteins, because most complete proteins come from animal proteins like meat or eggs or chicken. But if you're vegan, then you will want to also have quinoa because it gives you all of those essential amino acids from this plant protein.
And so is this why some people say eating rice and beans is a complete protein, right?
Right. Yeah, because the reason why is because rice has some essential amino acids, beans have different ones, and together they give you those 9 essential amino acids that you need.
But quinoa has it all.
Yeah, quinoa has it all in there, and it makes a great like, you know, you could try quinoa as your new rice. Quinoa has a lot more protein than rice does, and especially for diabetics, this is a great alternative.
Nice.
Higher protein content.
Is quinoa gluten-free?
Yes, quinoa is gluten-free. So for people who have celiac disease or non-celiac gluten sensitivity, quinoa is an excellent option.
Great.
Okay, so over here, you can also add in some black pepper to taste. So I like my food peppery, so I'm gonna be a little bit generous with that. And you can just mix that.
Some people are saying they cannot see well.
Oh,
Yeah, so I don't know what else.
well,
Yeah, I think it has to do with the lighting, but that's okay. I mean, we'll try our best, but we are just to make sure that we are addressing the question that that person has. I'm sorry about that.
oh, no problem. I can try to turn on another light here. Let me see. Okay, I'm not sure if that helps.
Yeah, that made a little bit more, yeah, different. Yeah, I can see a little better.
Okay, so over here, this quinoa salad is ready. As you can see, this is a lot. So you can have it with your family, or if you live alone, you could, you know, get some containers and individually put these into containers and then eat them throughout your week.
Nice, that's very good.
Yeah, and one thing I'll also just mention is that this quinoa it said on the package pre-washed, but sometimes quinoa is not pre-washed, so it's a good idea to rinse it in water before cooking it. And what you could use is like a fine mesh strainer and wash it in here. It is important if it's not washed to wash it yourself, because there is a compound in there. It's called saponin or something like that, and that gives it a bitter taste, but when you wash it, it gets rid of that.
What's the difference between the red and the white quinoa that you prepare, Bina?
Yeah, so the thing is, there's actually like about 120 different varieties of quinoa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the white quinoa or like the yellowish quinoa, those just have a more mild taste as opposed to the red or the darker quinoas. So that's why I chose it for this recipe, since some of our participants may not have eaten or have not cooked quinoa before. So this is something you might want to try this first.
But the nutrient content is similar?
So that's an interesting question. I actually did some research on that to see if there were any nutritional differences between the different colors. I didn't find anything, but it could be maybe there are some differences.
Yeah, but yeah. Is there another way that I can eat quinoa?
Yeah, definitely. So there's so many ways that you could prepare quinoa. Today, we just looked at how to make it how to have it as part of a salad. You can use it instead of like your starch. So let's say if you have, you know, chicken with rice, try having chicken with quinoa. You can also prepare it the way that you would have like a hot breakfast cereal. So instead of having oatmeal, you could cook quinoa in milk or in water, and then add in some nuts and some fresh fruit and some cinnamon to it. You can use it instead of pasta and pasta salads. So there's really so many ways that you could get creative with quinoa.
So thank you, Bina. We have a message here in the chat that says, I see that PSS Kins Tower Senior Center is making quinoa salad along with Bina. Bravo.
Wow, that's great.
That's awesome. Thank you. We love that. Oh yeah, I can see him there. They're all clapping. Oh, I thought they were having lunch. I see. Oh, wow. They were actually cooking. Oh, I love that.
That's great. We're always happy to have participants, cook along with us. We do send the ingredients out in advance. So that's it's great to know that you're also eating this along with me.
Great, great. Now we're gonna stop recording. Bina, so who are the funders? Who do we need to give credit to?
Yes. So we wanted to let you know that this cooking demo has been brought to you by the Virtual Smart Living Initiative in partnership with the Department for the Aging. So we thank our funders for sponsoring this event.
Great. So now we're going to stop recording and we're going to open it for questions. So now everyone can unmute themselves. Okay. Thank you so much. Here we go.